I like to think I'm a confident man. Who don't laugh at that part. That's not the funny part.
It was a contradictory statement. I like to think I'm a confident man would say, I'm a confident man.
I like to tiptoe around the idea that I might be.
I like to fantasize about being confident sometimes.
That's on. Test.
I'll test mine too.
And then hold this for me real quick. Oh, that's not helpful from doing it in front of the camera. There we go. You ever clap sync?
I haven't personally, but I've been a part of stuff where it's been necessary.
You've clapped. Have you done the clapping?
No.
You want to do it?
I'm okay.
All right. That's a fun energy. It's just no, thank you.
That's. Are we supposed to be? Is this supposed to be like improv? Am I supposed to be yes and?
Not really.
Okay.
There's been a couple that have been very riff heavy, and there's been a couple that's just been more of an interview. So
sure.
It's whatever your energy is. I'm gonna bring that right
we'll
back
see
to
what
you.
my energy ends up being after drinking this coffee Haltisch.
Yeah. So.
Organ lemonade. Meat cola.
Are you German?
Oh, I've got. There's some German in me.
Yeah.
My family that immigrated on my maternal's grandmother's side.
Okay.
Had an Adolf in it. If that answers your question.
Okay. So there's a touch. You got a touch of it.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we picked a lovely German soda for you. You were saying right before we started, real quick, like I've never watched your podcast, but I've seen your clips, which is the whole point.
Yes.
No one listens to an hour-long podcast. You do an hour-long podcast so you can find 4 clips. And then someone goes, Russell has a podcast. Maybe I should book him on my show in Denver so that he puts me on his podcast.
Interesting.
That's all that it is.
I have considered doing this sort of thing and not even recording the audio, just setting up the camera and then pulling some clips. So it's not a podcast. I'm just literally setting up to look like one.
I think Corey David told me he does do that, where he records like video, audio. But he never releases it's just for like him and his friends to hang out and then have clips. But he's like, there's no podcast.
Yeah.
I only have clips of things.
Yeah.
But there's no thing that clip, you can't find where that clip came from.
Yeah, I've thought about doing that with my wife, where we would just I'd be like, bring 4 topics. I'll bring 4 topics. We want to talk about. We'll just sit down and we'll talk about it. And then if something comes of it, great. And if not, we just talked for like a half hour, and that's fine. We spent time with each other.
That's the risk. Is I did one of these with my wife, and I was like, I don't know if I can talk to her being on for an hour without getting into a fight. And we managed to do it. It was actually really nice and fun.
So you're on right now. This is Russell on?
What
is Russell off? Because I've maybe never seen Russell off.
No, it's the same guy. But for my wife, it's like it's got to be a whole level because, not like she's a civilian. I hate it when people talk like that. It's
like we're military, like we have special skills.
Also, we also have full-time regular jobs. It's just that I have a thing I do once a week sometimes.
It would be like being in the reserves.
Yes.
If you're going to make the military comparison.
Yeah, I'm the bench warmer of the army. No,
if we get invaded, we have to do something, but I don't know if that is a metaphor at all.
That
but
doesn't
I think
translate to what we're talking about. Yeah.
There was a point where
someone make that into something that's usable. The point being, one thing you may not know, having never watched an episode, which, fun little fact, nobody does. But we've never had a can.
Oh, and your sound effect is a
little can.
Opening.
It's always been a bottle, even though.
Is that a canned thing? Like, did you purchase the sound?
No, I had to make that. I had to find different stock things of this is a bottle being cracked up, this is a can being cracked open, this is a fizz, this is so I had to makeshift that with stock.
Well, we could do it
right
if
now.
We can manage to. I think we both should do it at separate times and put the microphone
and see if we can get the clean audio.
If one of us can get a clean audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, this is Sam. This is Sam Ellefson. He's very funny. I like him a lot. This is. Pronounce this.
Paulaner.
Spezi. I looked it up ahead of time because I'm I just like the can. It's got a good can.
This is turning into a promotional video real quick.
I want a sponsor so bad, but like I told you, too many people are like, the soda sucks. to where I can never actually get a sponsor because I'm like, today's soda is brought to you by Brownie Root Beer Sarsaparilla or whatever. And so I'm like, this is dog shit.
That sounds delicious. Brownie Root Beer. Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Is that what was in there?
No, that's a sarsaparilla.
Oh, I thought you said it was root beer brownie sarsaparilla.
I mean, there's a brand called Brownie Root Beer, and there's a sarsaparilla. Though.
Okay, we're getting too into the nitty-gritty of
sodas.
Carbonated beverages.
I can name brands. I can hit you with all kinds of stuff.
I didn't realize that I was opening a can of worms with that question.
We've never had a can. I like this can. It's a German soda, and I looked it up ahead of time, and it's like it's a cola. So it's supposed to be like a Coke or a Pepsi, but it's like a German thing where it's I think coffee and orange cola.
Those Europeans love their coffee, man.
Who knows? But this is either going to be like, wow, a flavor I didn't know I needed until this very moment. It's nostalgia for something I've never had before, or I'm going to sip it and go, this is piss water. But either way, it's going to be fun.
I think I know exactly how it's going to taste.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it.
All right. Well, hey, you get your crack.
Okay.
You do your crack.
You're going to, oh, smart. Okay. I'm going to put my money.
Yeah, but that's a good little hiss. That was a good little hiss. Okay, let me.
Wait, do you want me to?
Yeah. Ooh, and I think between the two of those, we got a slow crack and a quick one. Between the two of those, we got something.
One of them's gonna work.
All right. Let's say cheers.
Cheers.
Let's give it a shot.
It's more cola-y than I thought it was gonna be. I was expecting more orange.
It kind of just tastes like a Pepsi or an RC Cola.
Yeah, there is no orange. Where's the orange in lemonade, or however they would say that?
When you go back for a second sip, it's a little orangey.
Okay, I'm getting the undertones.
But I thought this was going to be like a big, like a Christmas orange.
Yeah, orange vanilla Coke. You had orange vanilla Coke?
Of course.
I thought it was going to be like that with just a little bit of that caffeine.
This is mainly just a Pepsi. This is just a Pepsi with a hint of. It's not bad. I actually really like it.
It's good.
It just wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Is this like one of those backward European things? Because this says orange lemonade with cola. This is cola.
Well, if it says Coffenhagel orange limonada mit cola. I don't know. This is the most impassioned I've been on the show. This is
Russ is like, finally someone cares about soda.
Someone gives a shit about the whole thing. This is good. I really like this.
No, I like it too.
Can. All right. Well, get caffeinated, get buzzed.
It's funny, retro 70s look. Yeah.
The one beer that I have drink, depending on the situation, is a Montucky cold snack. Because I like the can a lot.
That's very on brand.
Do you know the can?
No.
Oh, dude, such a good can.
When it comes, you and I think, are similar when it comes to alcohol, except I am not a huge beer person.
Beer's bad. I just like the can. It tastes awful. The can is just cool.
I like the idea you go to the bar. I'm not just going to drink this, but I do want to hold it and have people see me holding it.
Exactly what it is. I want to be seen holding that can.
Yeah, I'm more of a cocktail hard liquor guy.
Yeah.
It was someone was talking. I've been watching Vanderpump with my wife.
Okay.
Familiar with the reality TV show?
I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Well, they have several restaurants they've opened up, and one of them is Cocktail Garden in Vegas. And I was asking my friend, she did a tour of all of them, and I was like, "What did you think of of them?" And she described them and said, and then there was the Cocktail Garden in Vegas. There's no food, so you probably wouldn't like them. And I was like, Natalie, cocktails are the only alcohol I drink. Like, that is the only place I could go drink and be totally happy. Is I drink like a college woman on spring break. That's how I consume
Little
alcohol. Little umbrellas, blended, all that.
Fish bowls.
I don't know about fish bowls. I'm still lightweight.
Wacky shapes.
Well, wacky shapes I'm down with.
Okay.
I want my drinking to be fun. I don't want to be like, I'm a working man who's had a hard day, because I'm not.
I've never worked a day in my life.
Never.
No, if I did not, I like to think I'm a confident man. Who don't laugh at that part. That's not the funny part.
It was a contradictory statement. I like to think I'm a confident man would say, I'm a confident man.
I like to tiptoe around the idea that I might be.
I like to fantasize about being confident sometimes.
That I was like, I don't care what people think and like doing stand up and all these things. What I don't order the drinks I want because I don't want comics to bully me, and I'm so like I already have to deal with it enough when I'm drinking like coffee at 9:30 p.m. or a Coke. I already have to deal with it enough. I so badly want an espresso martini, and I can't. As soon as espresso martini leaves my lips, I'm going to get a wedgie. I'm going to get locked in the bathroom. I'm going to get a swirly.
See, I've been bullied by this, but I find that the people that bully you are alcoholics. So it's like...
Which is all comedians.
Yeah, yes. So it's like, it's also like, but I also have a relationship that's successful. So like, I think that's where my confidence comes in around... I don't usually order drinks around comedy because I'm a lightweight and... I get buzzed off of a drink often.
Sure.
So, and I don't really like going on stage that way because I don't perform that way often. I just don't feel myself.
Sure.
But if I order a drink, or after my set or something, and someone would make fun of me, I would just tell them this is really good, and I don't care. And it's like, if you're gonna be bullying me, I'm gonna go home and have a loving wife. I don't care what you think of what I drink. That's
A lot of people have bad home lives.
Oh yeah,
in
big
this
time.
Thing.
My favorite thing is when someone is like, "Hey, you gonna go do another mic after this?" And I'll go, "No, I'm gonna go home to my wife." and you can just I try to impart on comedians that it's like my personal opinion is important to have things outside of comedy.
Yeah. And
when people don't, I like to poke them a little bit about that, especially like new comedians who've been doing it for 2 years and still go do 15 open mics in a week, and it's like, you haven't written anything new. What are you doing at the open mics?
That's I don't tend to go to open mics and by I don't tend to, I mean I haven't gone to an open mic in who knows how long.
I love open mics, dude.
A couple things are the reasons I don't go to open mics. One, I don't like most of the people there.
That's fair.
It's just like you make me anxious. I don't like talking to you. You're not fun or interesting. I'd rather just not. So part of it is deeply selfish, and I just don't want to.
Sure.
I would really help me out. Have a lot of great sets with one really bad joke in it that I'm like, I really should have workshopped that out at a mic before I did it on a paid gig.
Yeah.
But so a lot of it's just I don't like talking to most of the comics. The other thing is like I have a wife. I have a almost 4-year-old.
Yeah, I just burst.
Yeah,
we almost burped in unison.
We're in sync.
Our intestinal systems are gastrointestinal. That's what I'm saying.
But like my even now almost 4-year-old, if I put her to sleep, she's in bed by 8:00. If I'm out, like even just at a show, and it's my wife's job to get her to sleep, it's like 9:30, 10. She just doesn't
respect your wife's authority.
No, I think it's like she's bored of me. And so like when I'm getting her to bed, she's like, all right, whatever, and go right to sleep.
Wow.
Whereas with my wife, she's like, she just wants to talk and like hang out, and she's too stimulated.
Holy, that went
a my wife too much.
Different direction. I was like, oh wow, I think your kid has already been indoctrinated by society to respect men as authority figures, and you're like, no, actually, I'm just boring, and she doesn't want to spend time with me.
Yeah, it's mainly that she wants to talk to my wife. When I put her down, she's like, all right, whatever, and goes to bed. So
you want me to read you a story? I'm good.
I'd rather. Right. I got dreams I could be having. But it feels selfish to be like, all right, wife, I'm gonna go to an unpaid thing where I'm having a bad time. You have to deal with our daughter now. So once she's old enough to put herself to like bed, which she probably is at this point, but
you still don't want to go.
Haven't pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So I think once we get to that point, I'll probably go more, but it's not worth it. My wife has told me, like, if I have a show out in Greeley or whatever and it's bad and I get paid $10 and it's 3 hours away, she's like, don't tell me it's bad. Because if you tell me you've been gone for 7 hours for $10 and you didn't have a good time, it's not worth it to me to have to be a single mom for the night. So always say nothing or say it was good. But don't tell me you had a bad time or it's not worth it to me to have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's like, that's a good boundary to set. Because it's not like you really need to talk about how bad the show went. Like,
No.
I don't really have that experience where a show goes bad where I'm like,
I
have to vent about this. There's been times where like I felt like I've been in danger. Where after that I might be like, hey, I need to process what just happened. But like if there's a tough show, I'm a very much so when I approach a very difficult show, I try and I've gotten I think good at setting expectations for myself. Where it's like everyone is doing very poorly. The bar is probably here.
Right.
So I'm going to maybe I'll tell a couple jokes that I know should work, and then I'm like, okay, that's my bar. If it's silence, if I get any laugh, that's a win.
Yeah.
Like I'm bombing, but I'm not bombing for this room. Like I'm doing what's been par for the course, and if I get a laugh, all of a sudden just getting a laugh is a win. Not even like how many laughs you're getting or the consistency.
That was a big thing. Johnny Bratsfield, when the 3 E's Comedy Club first opened.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about a show he did where there was like 4 people in the room, and so it was like, "Oh, did you bomb?" He goes, "It's 4 people."
Yeah.
You're right, but did you bomb? There's no bombing in front of 4 people.
No.
If they have a great time or if they have a bad time, it's 4 people.
Yeah.
It's going to be silent, no matter if they're having the best time or the worst time.
Yeah.
Unless you are at a ungodly kind of set where you're down there, you're drinking drinks with them, you're kissing babies on the lips.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden they're the right energy to talk to them. I just did a show at Pizza More.
Yeah.
And it was a smaller room. It wasn't smaller, 15 people in there or something. And it's like we ended up in that small room kind of building throughout I did a ton of riffing because they were there for it. They liked it. They wanted it. And we were just kind of like vibing together. But if you get a room of 4 people and you can't force that, the audience has to come in willing to be a part of that. And if not, then it's like, all right, well, I'm going to tell jokes at you.
Yeah.
And I'm maybe going to get...
This is going to be very prescriptive.
So it's... And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, if you're really, really, really good, maybe there's something you can do about it.
Sure.
Or you find the right angle, you open them up, sure. But it's not like... Sometimes that's just a show.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I think it's real, like, for... Some people talk about, like, crushing or killing or whatever. Very violent language we use.
Oh, always. Murder, crush, kill,
we think
destroy.
we're in the army.
Yeah. There it loops back around again.
We pulled it back. But, like... For me, crushing is a very specific thing. And not that this happens all the time, but, like, sometimes after a set, someone will say, "Oh, man, you killed. You crushed."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go, "No, I did the job. The job is to make people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I did what I was supposed to do." In my mind, I have a very specific standard for what I feel like a crush or destroying the room is. Same thing with bombing. Yeah. We're like, no, it's just a bad night. It wasn't a bomb. To me, a bomb is a very specific thing where, like, it's dead silent. People before or after you were doing
great,
fine to good.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And you plummeted and it wasn't that you did worse compared to everybody else. It was a good show, and you dropped the ball. You made it
Which
bad.
we've all seen. We've all seen the show running, and then someone comes up. Hopefully, it's less than a 10-minute set, and you're just like, oh. I'll definitely use the word bombing when everyone's doing. I'll be like, we all bombed.
Sure.
Like, I'll definitely say it that way. And
you can have a collective bomb.
Yeah. But especially if there's a ton of people there to see the show. Like, if there's 40 people there and none of you were really able to open them up, I would have no problem being like, we all bombed. We bombed. Yeah. But also that, like, idea of doing really well, like crushing and bombing, I think changes as you get better.
Yeah,
because
it should.
Yeah, like you do get to a point where it's like, if I'm not getting, at least 3 laughs a minute with the stuff I've written, maybe I've got it written for 4 or 5. If I'm not getting 3, then I'm like, oh, this is not going well as it should have, and I'm upset. I'm upset at how that set went, and someone would be like, that was a good set. I'm like, no, it didn't do as well as I wanted it to for the parameters.
Yes.
Based on what I adjusted. The worst is, so I love open mics. I love going to open mics and just bombing and feeling through material. But the best is when you do get laughs at them, and those are some of the most meaningful laughs that exist, are open mic laughs.
Because these 9 drunk people, everyone else is doing bad. If I could get you to laugh on that one thing, that means at an actual show,
it's gonna crush.
Yeah.
So it's gonna crush. And the only time I walk away feeling bad is when I'm like, I should have, based on how everyone was doing, how this room is, done better and what happened, or if I do a show or even an open mic where I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
I brought material and I'm like, I do it and there was no reaction to anything. No one, I learned nothing about whether this would be successful or not. Then I walk away being like, I just wasted all that time out there because I did not learn anything. Because I'm not I don't think, I can always get better, but I don't know that I'm at the point where it's like, you just need stage time to figure things out.
No, you've had enough stage time to where it's like, you know what you're doing up there.
I just need to find material to continue to write new stuff. And
really, like, when I first started, it was like I was like a robot saying the exact same 5 minutes at every open mic every single time.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was, I need to feel comfortable in standing in silence, even if it's the same, like, less so about the writing. It was I do need to get comfortable being in front of people and learn how to open up.
Yeah.
Emotionally and like with my body and all these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you do that enough, you're like, I've had enough stage time to know, at least not like, you know, I'm some expert in it, but at least I don't feel weird in front of a group of people with a microphone. Yeah. Now you can focus on the writing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you were saying of some of the so I get it on one hand, but on the other hand, some of the newer people or even older people who are like, I'm on that rise and grind mentality where you're doing 20 open mics a week, but you're doing the exact same set at every single open mic.
Yeah. Not even really changing anything.
Yeah, like adjusting not your tone even, not your intonation. You're not using, I don't know, any synonyms.
Yeah.
Like even anything small, you're just kind of doing it the same every single time. Yeah, you're not gaining anything from doing these open mics. It'd be better if the huge thing for me has, you know, when I first started was recording and like listening back to it.
Oh yeah.
And then making adjustments, because there's even things now, jokes now that I tell that I will go like, this isn't doing as well as it used to. And I don't know what I've lost, and I'll listen back to them like, oh, I even just paused differently when even when this was just an idea of a joke, it was going better than when it's a fleshed out thing because of, oh, I changed like the cadence of the rhythm of, or I even forgot to say this word. So yeah, having a recording and doing it different based on that, even if I do that once a week, is going to be better than doing 15 a week, doing the exact same thing every single time.
Yeah. Again, unless it's like you're working on something specific outside of your material, which, but then it's like, I think that I forget this, but I try to have intention when I perform of I would like to try this new thing, or I'm getting a sense of how this room is. I'm going to, even if I don't use them, while the other comedians are performing, I'm going to write some things I can say about what's happening at the showdown so that I have them if I want them. And I feel like that helps you to grow when, even if it's just something little where, ooh, I want to, after my jokes, just be comfortable after, let everyone fully stop laughing. I still have a hard time because I just want laughs. That when I'm doing well, you know, it's okay. It's okay to have a joke or two where there is some silence or it is wordier in a longer set. I mean, R.I.P. Bill Cosby and his career and him being a terrible person. But the first time I learned how effective silences could be is Bill has this joke where he says, he's talking about playing football and he wasn't good at football. And he says that he learned he wasn't good when he got handed the football as a running back and he was running to the line and he realized that they didn't want him. And he pauses and you're like, oh, I know what he's going to say. And then he says, they wanted the ball. So now after he says, they didn't want me, he gets this slow, trickling, big, building laugh. And then when he says, they wanted the ball, he gets two laughs on something that, you know, it's not said correctly, wouldn't even be a punchline necessarily. Right. But the way he delivered it and let the silence and just let everyone get on board and realize what he was going to say, then he got two big laughs. Yeah. And that was the first time I was like, oh, sometimes quiet's good. And if you do it correctly, like quiet can like make your show more dynamic and better. And yeah, that was the first time I ever realized that was a thing.
I listened to so many Bill Cosby tapes when I was growing up because he had a brother named Russell.
I don't know.
He had a whole thing about his brother named Russell, and I'm like,
that's
that's
like
me. I could have been a young black boy. I could have done it. How was your pizza more? I just saw because Thad posted a picture. He's like 2 tickets to Riff City, Sam Ellefson or something like that.
I think he just said like I was in Riff City. It was so before the show, there was this guy who told all of us because someone had asked about something dating that he was gay, and he would comment all the time with their punchlines where he would say like, "Been there." And
oh, good. One of these cool guys.
It was such a small room that instead of like going at the guy, it was just and people were laughing too when he would comment. So it was just like, okay, they like him.
Yeah.
So it just like he would say something and then we riff on it. There was one moment where I asked if people had dogs, and this one woman goes, "Woo!" And I was like, "You have a little dog, don't you? It's a small dog." Because no one with a big dog says that when they. And then I asked, "Do you kiss the dog on the mouth?" And she's like, "Well, I'm a black woman." And everyone laughed because they're like, the whole, black people treat their dogs like dogs, white people treat their dogs like kids. And so it was just like funny moments like that. There was one guy who was like, kept reminding me to get back on track. And I was like, "Where do you got to be, man?" I was like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Eric." And I was like, "What do you do for work?" And he's like, "I don't have a job." And I was like, "Where do you have to go, Eric? Why are you rushing me up here?"
Like, all right, we got I got an appointment after this.
What he said was he has a Puerto Rican wife that he needs to go. She was there. It wasn't just a random like, "I've got a Puerto Rican wife." Right. It was like, "I've got a Puerto Rican wife to get home to." So like, there were a lot of, it just kind of built where everyone was kind of
a little
community. There were even like some people who made fun of other people who were talking, and I was like, "Hey, let's not fight, everybody," and got into like that. It was a fun. It was one
like
of those,
a fun classroom kind of vibe.
I love those shows, and I think I'm my best at rooms of like 50 or less where people are really engaged, because I don't like to go in and crowd work. Like I don't like to be like, "Oh, you, what's going on? Hey, you there?" I like to, as things happen, just address what's going on.
Yeah.
And when things happen that don't completely derail the show, I love it. I love to just be able to comment on things and let it kind of build into stuff, and lets me step outside of my material a little bit and be a little more natural on stage.
Yeah.
So I had a ton of fun. It was really fun. And then I came out of the show, and there was somebody didn't do this to me. I drove over, there was like a metal rod like this long in my tire. So
oh, that's right.
And I had a wheel stolen, so I put wheel locks on my car. And so I had pulled out, saw the tire light, pulled over, and it took me 25 minutes to get that stupid wheel lock off of my tire. And I don't wear my Jordans very often, but I was. And like, you're not supposed to like kneel down and, like crease them and stuff. But I'm like, should I take them off? So I'm like on my hands and knees wearing Jordans. I didn't, but in hindsight, I was, they're already a little creased just from driving and stuff. But and then I drove 45 miles an hour home on I-25 from Colorado Springs to, so that was an adventure.
You've had a big couple days.
It was a big night.
I'm glad you got a tire.
Yeah, they patched it up.
There's a place down the street from us called Latino Tires.
Local place, I'm guessing. That doesn't sound like a national brand.
No, it's not a franchise. And it is just like 3 Hispanic guys.
Yeah.
And then I've gotten.
Is there a token white guy?
No.
I wish there was just like
2
Hispanic dudes and 1 guy.
2 of them ish speak English. One of them is like he can speak Spanish or speak English, but the other 2 is just kind of like they know tire and cash, and that's kind of where it begins and ends.
Yeah, that's all you need to run a tire business.
Pretty much. We need cash and ATM, and they just point at the like gas station / cigarette store
and they're
across
a cash
the
only
street.
place
Yeah.
too. Yeah, that's
So they have tires all sizes, all shapes, used. Don't know where these tires are coming from, but it's $50 for a used tire, and I just have to go to the cigarette store across the street, get cash, go over, and say tire.
This is where you walk over and you say tire, and then they
well,
put the tire.
I speak full English. I say hello, sir. And
I cut you off, but where I cut you off was when I walk over, I say tire, they put 4 tires on.
I say tire on delay. I'm not.
What like an entitled white man they need to walk over and be like, excusez-moi, that's French. Sorry. Tire.
El tire.
Gracias por todo,
La
señor.
tire. No, I'm not. But they're great. That's what I was saying is they're great little, it's nice to have $50 tires whenever I need them. Do you speak any Spanish?
Well, I
You
took.
seem like someone who went on mission trips to the Dominican Republic at some point.
No, those cost too much money. Which at the end of the day, I did mission trips in high school, and it was funny in the hindsight, being like, oh, this was just a like. Yeah, we did some things to help people.
This was a vacation.
But it was a trip.
With
it was
a volunteer work in the middle of it.
Yes, yeah. It was a vacation with all the other people at our youth group and stuff. I took a lot of Spanish in school, but we didn't get to do a lot of conversational stuff. So I like textbook would, like I'd know how to conjugate and do all that kind of stuff. And I took one class in college, and they just kept teaching the same stuff. Like, I learned about Frida like 5 times. I learned about the Reconquista 3 or 4 times. And they would just slowly get more advanced into the grammar, and I would never really get better at speaking. So I wouldn't say that I could speak Spanish. If put in a Spanish country, I could probably get around in a similar way like the guys at the tire shop. But like they know what they need to say. They say the words we as English speakers can put together what they're trying to say.
Context clues.
It's so impressive. Like, those guys are running a business in another country where they don't speak the primary language.
Yeah.
That's so difficult. So difficult. I spent 10 days in France, and I was like, get me to where I don't have to pretend to try to speak this language.
Were you in like Paris proper, or were you?
Yeah,
like
we did. Well, Paris proper isn't bad, and especially I found if you're speaking to Parisians, there's like a lot of stuff you have to try to do. They're going to be mean to you. If you're speaking to people who've immigrated there or moved there, it's not a big deal. Like, they're very kind.
Sure.
But then we went down to Montpellier on the south for just a night to be near the ocean, and we're in the off season. So we get to the place, we taxied down to where we were staying on the beach, and then all the buses weren't running down to the beach because it was the off season, and that's how we were going to get back up. So, and I wasn't sure if Uber and stuff would work. I didn't really have internet. I managed to order a taxi, who we waited for and never showed up, and then said that we didn't show up. And while we're waiting on the curb, an Uber happens to drive by, and he's like, for 50 euros, I will take you to the train station. And I was like, I'm just going to get in your car and give you 50 euros because I have no other option.
That's supply and demand, baby. That's the free market.
And so he took us to the train station, and Montpellier was beautiful. I mean, beautiful city. We had really, really, really good food. There was also, I told a joke about this for a little bit, that we went to try to buy a sweater in a store, and they were trying to tell me that the credit card reader wasn't working. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I put the credit card in, and they're like, no. And then I was like, oh, you don't take American Express? Let me try a different card.
Okay.
And then like the manager gets called over. I still don't know what's happening. And finally, they're able to like put together enough English to be like, cash. Like, we need only cash. And they pointed to the ATM across the street. And then she's like leading me over to show me where the ATM is. And I had cash in my anti-theft my money belt. So I'm like, no, it's okay. And I like pull up my shirt to go get the money bag, and she's like, ah, and like
you're an American,
screams and turns
definitely
away.
Have a gun.
So I didn't even think about that. If I had a gun, she was like, this man is armed. So we ended up buying the sweater, but just like all of that, and like for people who come here and don't speak English and are trying to make a new life or whatever, I'm just like, man, it's hard. I couldn't even buy a sweater,
How do you deal with like the wholesale guy who's dropping off like at the Chinese restaurant or your tire shop, whatever it is?
Yeah, and not get screwed over.
The guy who's resupplying the Pepsi stock, you're just like, what is Pepsi in Cantonese? I don't know.
And that's what's cool about technology. I was at this really cool conference, and now we're getting less away from funny topics and more.
We're just here to
into the
chit-chat.
seriousness of this. It was for the Global Disability Awareness Day. We had someone come and talk about. He's a blind man who'd been working. He worked for big companies and stuff. Talked about how he did it, how he helps other people get employed who have disabilities, and how technology has made just the biggest difference for people with disabilities to be able to make their own income.
Yeah.
In the modern workplace, and I think similarly with language barriers, where now, I mean, I know they exist. People don't use them often, but like you can just put a thing in your ear, and have it translate
Yeah,
what it's
I mean,
hearing
you could
to
get
whatever
a
language you
a
want.
99-cent app on your phone. I don't think that it's even how apps work anymore. But
People are buying apps. What losers?
no, there's still you get the app for free, but then you have
Yeah.
to get a subscription inside the app.
Oh, of course.
No one pays for the app itself anymore. But nonetheless, yeah, your phone can do most of it for you.
Yeah, you can just type in what you want to
You
say
can do
and press
Google Lens
play
on your
and-
phone.
Yeah. There's so much stuff, and you can do that in a lot of places. I wouldn't do that in France. Those people would be like, "Get out of here!" They would not like that.
Spit on you?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I had a waiter get really mad at me because I tried to ask for a glass of water, and I believe I looked it up afterwards, and it's like verre d'eau or something like that. And I think I said a glass of a glass. Like that was what came out of my mouth, and he just was like, "Don't speak French, dude." Like he's like, "Don't speak French. I speak English. Do not speak French to me."
I mean, I don't. That guy sucks. We did the one time I've done like a missions trip was as an adult in Thailand, and there was like a what?
We would go we went to Cortez, Colorado, and did
Sure.
some stuff. We went to New York, but you're like we went to Thailand. We really wanted to feel good about it.
No, all missions trips are to Guadalajara to build a hospital. That's all missions trips. If you do something in the United States, you're just volunteering in a different state. A missions trip means you have to build a hospital in Mexico.
No.
That's specifically
What
a
is
missions trip.
why?
I'm being facetious.
No, I want you. You made a stance, and
Yeah.
I want you to back it up.
I'm saying when people, in general, when people talk about going on missions trips, they stereotypically do the same thing over and over again because they're not creative and they don't think about helping their own local communities.
You don't add you add an S to mission every time. You call it a mission strip.
I don't know.
That's what you've been saying.
Oh no.
I've always just used a
a
singular.
mission trip, a missions trip, interchangeable.
I
My
disagree.
wife says I say Christ instead of Jesus. She says
Okay.
you always are referring to him as Christ, and that's weird.
Uh-huh.
Your thoughts?
I think it depends on what church you grew up in. The name of my church was Christ the King that I grew up with. So I mean, but people didn't usually refer to him as Christ because Christ is usually a little more evocative than Jesus. I feel like it's a different tone. So it depends on which style of church you go to.
I think it's because it's his
more.
title. It's like his title, right?
Because what does it mean, king or something? What does Christ mean? Do you know?
I mean, like it is. I think it means like Messiah. You know?
Oh, I don't know. I don't.
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. Well, I went on this.
Christ isn't his last name,
No.
right? It's a title.
Which I wonder what his last name was. Did you know that Jesus was not even close to his name?
It's something like his last name would have. If his dad's name is Joseph, his last name would have been Ben Yosef. Because it's Jesus of Joseph. But I also
he was
think
of
like
God. He was.
I know.
Joseph didn't make
on
him.
tax documents on his Social Security card. It's
When-
gotta say
What's the title of the dude who sentenced him? The guy who's like, I wash my
Pontius
hands.
Pilate.
But what was his title? Pontius? Was that his
Pontius?
first name? That's a sick first name.
Ponchos.
Dude, for like I feel like for an athlete
Yeah.
coming
Pontius.
coming to the plate next, Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Rodriguez stepping up to the plate.
Hey, come on, let's not stereotype here, Russell.
It's not a stereotype if it's true. In baseball, come on.
I was thinking about this. It's how many like actually white guys there are in baseball. I'd be curious to see like statistics on that.
I'm sure compared to other sports, it's significantly more than like a football or a basketball. But still, when you think baseball is not without its African American players. Also,
Yeah, there are.
of course, it is like the Puerto Rican, Dominican Republic. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of Hispanic
usually
players.
a lot of the black players in the leagues are from other countries that have a lot of black people, like the Dominican Republic and stuff.
You got all your Japanese players.
Yeah, I mean, those are you got. I mean, literally the best player in the league right now is he's from Japan, right? He's Japanese.
Yushei Otame or whatever. I don't know. I don't know enough. I know a
Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei,
I believe.
I'm
I
thinking
used to call him Shohoni Ohtani because I like the rhyme, but that's not how you pronounce his name.
I'm thinking of Yushin Okami, who was an MMA fighter.
Yes.
We all know Yushin Okami.
No.
I know high level, very broad strokes baseball. It's the sport that I know. Like, I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about soccer. I don't know anything. The only thing I know about basketball is Joker, that guy. The guy who's from Croatia, who's the greatest basketball player of all time.
This is the clip. He's from Serbia. This is the clip to post.
But he's really good. And he's one of the best of all time, and he doesn't like basketball that much.
Really?
That's what I know about him.
Does he not like basketball that much? So I'm a big T-Wolves fan, and tonight, actually, they're playing to decide who goes on, Game 7.
Yeah, you told me we have to schedule this around
I did.
Your basketball game.
The last time I performed while the Timberwolves played a playoff game, they won, and I should be on stage when the game starts. So things are looking good. I'm doing all I can.
I don't know much about sports in general, but baseball I have a surface level understanding. I enjoy baseball highlights. Mm-hmm. Baseball highlights trick me into thinking that I would like baseball, but then you go to an actual baseball game and it is mind-numbing. It is hair-pulling. It's
about the experience of the ballpark. Also, you only have the Rockies, so it's it's a different vibe.
The most fun I've ever had at a baseball game was our Colorado Springs local team.
Okay.
It's called the Vibes.
What?
And the Vibes are...
With a Z?
No. We're classy.
So that sounds like a team that would be in Portland or Seattle, and it would be all white people who are really progressive.
Not in the Springs, maybe. So we had the Sky Sox. But it's not the Sky Sox anymore.
Sky Sox.
They're below the Sky Sox. So Sky Sox is what, AA? I think they're single A.
Oh, it's a single A team.
Single A team.
Yeah, AAA. It's AAA, AA, single A. AAA is right before the majors.
So I think they're a single A team called the Vibes. The Vibes. Never cared about base. I've played baseball when I was a kid. Never really cared about it. I love the Vibes because the Vibes have a mascot that is a s'more. The s'more, it's a marshmallow man with cool sunglasses. Don't forget he's a cool marshmallow.
Does he wear hippie clothes at least?
No, he's got the 2 graham crackers right on either side of him, on the left and right, but he holds them like it's a cool leather jacket. So he's like a cool marshmallow s'more. He's a cool rockin' dude with flames for hair.
This is as cool as it is funny, I would say.
His name's Toasty. He's the coolest. I have so much Vibes merch.
Toasty Vibes.
I did not care about baseball until we got the Vibes as a team, and I'm like, I love this marshmallow man. I love Toasty.
Okay, well,
I'm going to baseball games now.
You don't even like baseball.
I love Toasty.
The thing with the ballpark is I think I grew up playing baseball, so it's a little different. But with every pitch, I like to think about what they're doing, what's going on, how are they playing these people.
It's an intellectuals game.
Well, it's like a numbers game. It's a very strategic pitch by pitch, which a lot of sports have a lot of strategy to them. But I think what varies is how often you get to adjust, change, and football. You change the defense you're running. You change the type of offensive plays you're doing, shotgun, pass, you're doing short pass. With baseball, it's this guy doesn't hit very well here, so he has to overcome that. They're going to throw him a lot of off speeds. They've thrown him hard inside twice, and now your eyesight, it's faster when you throw inside on a guy than when you throw outside. So if you throw 2 hard fastballs inside and you throw an off speed outside, it's way more likely they're going to be ahead of the off speed because it looked so fast. And now not only is it slow, it's slow to the outside of the plate. So there's the strategy around setting people up.
Sure.
To miss pitches. And the ballparks are fun. They're beautiful. You can walk around them. There's fun food.
I can appreciate because the one sport I really do care about is mixed martial arts. So
this is so wild.
Yeah.
That Russell Keller
love watching people get kicked in the head as hard as they can.
Oh, I once stayed with this was really weird. Okay, my Spanish teacher's sister lived in Seattle when I moved out there, and she's like, "You should reach out and like she'll show you around Seattle a little bit." I was like, "Okay." So I reached out and she showed me around Seattle a little bit, and I stayed like in their guest room one night because I was living in Tacoma, and her husband was a preacher who like is from Africa and would go to Africa and preach in front of like thousands of people.
Okay.
Doing that kind of thing. His favorite sport is also MMA. So like I sat out and watched MMA for like probably the first time in my life.
Yeah.
With this pastor.
That's a wild introduction to the sport.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say he also fought crime at night or something. Like
he might have. I went to sleep. I don't know what happened after I went to bed.
Pastor by day, MMA fighter by night. But like there's a lot of, in terms of like kickboxing, like fighting a guy, it's a lot of it at the high levels about like rhythm changing. Like I'm setting you up to feel like I'm coming at you at this kind of pace until I get you like on an off beat, essentially. Like I move when you weren't expecting me to. I've lulled you into like getting into a rhythm, and then I move off rhythm. So there's a lot of that with like baseball pitching of, like you said, of like, you think we're going at this pace, and then I hit you with this thing.
And even though if you know it's coming, sometimes you can't adjust to it because you're so used
your
to
body,
the rhythm.
your muscles have relaxed and got adjusted to. So even if your eyes clock it, your body has already moved before your eyes have done the math to realize. Yeah, so I can appreciate that. It's an incredible accomplishment, a no-hitter. Watching a no-hitter
is arguably boring.
Yes.
For the first like 6 innings. And then once you get past that, you're like, oh, this nothing game could be interesting. And then someone gets a hit in like the 7th inning, and you're like,
you go, oh, it's back to being boring.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Now when it's hit, now it's bad that he got a hit to do the interesting thing. But I do, so at the Vibes games, because they're at I don't want to say low level, because they're all better baseball players than I will ever be, and most people will ever be.
A low professional level.
Sure. But there's more likelihood for like errors and balks and like things to go awry. So we went to one game where it was like, you know, instead of a regular baseball game where it could be, whoa, that was 4-2, crazy. This was like 11-13. Like stuff was happening all the time. There was errors. This was happening. That was happening. So it leaves more room for fun stuff to happen when they're not as good.
Yeah.
Because if everyone's perfect, your offense is perfect, your defense is perfect, their offense is perfect, their defense is perfect, there's nothing that can happen. But if you're both like not that great in certain areas, it allows for more things to happen. It's
Russell's
more
like,
fun.
I go and I watch Little League Baseball.
Yes.
Because boy, is there a lot of
more fun stuff happens at Little League. Yeah, so at this Vibes game, the first one we went to, we like brought all of our friends. We sat right behind the dugout, and we sat behind the opposing team's dugout. So as they would like strike out and start walking back to the dugout, we would do like the thick skin at Comedy Works thing where we would go dwell on it, and chant at the opposing team as they struck out and had to walk back to their dugout and stare us in the eyes. That's fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chants going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of antagonizing and bullying fully grown men.
Yeah. That's what all sports are, really.
That's a good time.
Yeah. My teammates, I didn't play baseball for a lot of reasons. My senior year, I stopped playing, but one was like my teammates just weren't that nice to me. But there was one time they had my back. I would I would close games or pitch the second half of the game, especially after one of our guys who threw hard pitched, because I threw really slow, but I had a lot of rotation on the ball, so it was slow, but it would move and seem like it was faster than it was while you were looking at it. So they would throw someone who threw really, really hard, and then I would come in as kind of a fully off speed. I'd throw like an ephus changeup, and while I was warming up for like the game to go to like one of the biggest tournaments, we were playing a team that was from a town like 5 times our size. And I was warming up, and they came out, and they were like laughing at me and swinging, and like the whole team came out, and they were like, "Oh,
they all pointed and laughed.
We're gonna win this one!" And then I sent them down 1-2-3, and then my teammates backed me up for the first time ever. And while their pitcher was warming up, came out and did, "Oh yeah, we're gonna really get him."
The one time they've ever stood up. For
yeah,
you.
it was. Yeah. So, and then it was funny because we won that game, and it was like August, and I'd been playing baseball since March, and I was so ready to be done. And they put me into pitch. I won the game, and like a bunch of people ran up to the mound when I got the last guy out. And I remember one of my people I was better friends with was like, "Why aren't you happy?" And I didn't say this, but I was like, "I wanted to be done. I didn't want to keep
this
going.
Means we have to continue."
Yeah. So we went and we finished second in like all of the state. It was a summer league, so there were no classes. It was just like you won or you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And we finished second amongst everybody. And then I quit after that. Like
going on a high note, baby.
We achieved something really cool, and then I was like, I don't want to play anymore. My arm hurts. So
that is again, baseball highlights trick me into thinking it's interesting. I love seeing someone throw like a 43-mile-an-hour pitch. Just the slowest pitch you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because that's got to be more of like, that's got to be harder for a professional baseball player to hit than 101 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because he's prepared himself for 101 miles an hour. When you throw 43 miles an hour, it's like, what?
Once they got used to it, they would rock it. But for that first couple.
Yeah. It's the rhythm thing of just like throwing them off so bad.
The changeup I would throw. So I had a decent curveball. I could both. I forget the technical terms. There's a different name when it goes side to side when you throw the curve. I think it's sweep instead of a curveball. And then I'd have more of like the 12-6. And then I'd also throw the Evis changeup. Why it was hard to hit was because it would literally come down from up here. So instead of a normal pitch that comes like this, I would throw it up. So you would have to hit it at an upward angle in order.
You would do like a granny pitch, like for a
I
granny
would
free
do
throw.
The equivalent of a granny free throw on the mound to people in high school. I was 17 years old.
Lob it to him like you're throwing him an apple.
Yes, exactly. And people just could not wait. They couldn't wait that long.
They got impatient.
Yeah, so you would be like, and then even when you think you've waited long enough, it would like slow down further as it was coming into the plate. And yeah, it would just drop right down. Yeah.
That's great. See, that I love. One thing I really like about mixed martial arts is good one. One thing I like, the huge thing I love about mixed martial arts is because it's a relatively new sport, you can innovate on it and do new cool stuff people haven't seen before. And even if it's a dumb idea, because someone hasn't done it before, no one was ready for it.
Sure.
So you can just try weird, stupid stuff out in the hopes that you're just not ready for someone to try this. In boxing, there's different styles, but boxing has been done for so long. Mm-hmm. There's very rarely someone in boxing who's doing something no one's ever seen before. It's just like, oh, it's a different style. It's a tricky style.
Sure.
He does this really well. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's punching.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too much you can innovate on.
Yeah. I feel like with other sports, it's almost, sometimes there's things that change a little bit. Like the first Euro step in basketball was called a travel, even though it wasn't. But they were just like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And also just the raw athleticism of people that can do things that have simply never Anthony Edwards, and Jokic is kind of that way, where he's this giant man who can pinpoint pass all over the floor, and I think it has a little bit of that where it's like, how do you deal with a 7'5" man who passes like Ricky Rubio? How do you deal with that? And then the T-Wolves have Anthony Edwards. I love that guy. He's got this. He just like floats. I watched the game, one of the playoff games, and he just floats through the air when it comes up for layups. He can jump up and float so long, other guys will have gone past and landed on the ground, and then he can just shoot a wide open layup because he's
found a way to have lighter bones.
Jumps higher. He had a game-winning block, and he hit his face on the backboard. That is how high up he got.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
I love, there's like Kellerisms you have where you can make things seem, I don't know if dad is the right term, or Midwestern was like, that's a nice jump. That's a very good jump.
That's a very good jump. And I'm so glad that happened for you. Just trying to be engaged, trying to be an active listener.
You're like, I don't care about basketball, but I brought him on this podcast, so I do have to listen to what
I don't
he
know
says.
anything about basketball, but I do know a lot about jumping. I know how high things are. I know how hard it is to do.
Do people in mixed martial arts, can you climb up on the cage?
No, you can't climb in the cage. But there was a guy who, this was years ago now. His name was Anthony Showtime Pettis. Did something called the Showtime kick, which he but it was, they were going along, because it's an octagon, so you can't really get cut off in the same way you can in a boxing ring. Mm-hmm. Boxing ring, you kind of get tucked in the corner. You're literally wedged in a corner. There's not too much you can do about it.
Yeah.
An octagon, because it's more like a circle, you can kind of just keep circling the outside. It's a lot harder to cut somebody off and kind of get them pinned in.
Sure.
So
they need to work on their professional tag skills. You seen that stuff?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
We can get it. Remind me to talk about professional tag. I want to come back to that. But Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson is moving backwards parallel to the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
So he's moving backwards this way. Anthony is in front of him, chasing him down towards. So Anthony's coming in. This is not going to be good for the visual or audio podcast. No one's going to be able to see this.
Maybe use the cans as the people, and you can move them.
Okay, here we go. Audio listeners, I'm sorry.
I'll do a color commentary as needed.
So Benson Henderson is coming around the ring.
He's making a fast approach.
Anthony Pettis is in the center of the ring.
Showtime's in the center.
So as Benson is coming around, Anthony is coming in.
Okay.
So he's not chasing him. He's coming in from the center as Benson is going around.
So wait, is it like this?
Like kind of. Okay. He's just continuously going around the perimeter.
Okay.
And Anthony Pettis is in the middle and leaps in to make a connection.
That way you're not tiring yourself out trying to chase them. Got it.
He jumps to the ring. He misses Benson Henderson. Mm-hmm. Jumps to the ring on purpose. Kicks the side of the ring to jump off, spin in the air, and kick Benson Henderson in the face as he retreats, knocks him down.
I think I've seen this kick.
The Showtime kick, very infamous. Even if you don't know a lot about mixed martial arts, you've probably seen.
What have we done? No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way you're gonna get this right. This is right. at a game when they put the things and they mix it around.
No, I know. I can tell. Because look
look at what
I bent mine in. I did a slow, whereas you went quick. So yours is going straight up and down, whereas mine is kind of like tilted.
These are in the exact same angle for our listening audience.
Tilted in. The tab of the soda can is tilted in. Yours is perfectly flat up and down. Because I did a slow entry.
I want the listening audience to know that Russell, the can that he thinks is mine, he just put his finger inside of it while he was trying to.
This one versus this one.
Listen, I'm done with this coffin haltage.
I'm confident this one's mine.
I'm not drinking mine anymore.
Well, great. I have 2 sodas to drink now. Anyways, point being, he jumped off the cage to kick someone. We're almost wrapping up. He jumped. Don't worry, that's why I got it right there. He jumped off the cage to kick someone in the face, which is crazy. 2, cool. So we got cool and we got crazy. That's 2 cool.
That's a good combination.
That's a great combination. And just like, I didn't know you could do that. And some guys have tried stuff like that since then, but nothing's really been done like it. Some people have tried to do a Superman punch, which is where you jump and punch at the same time, and they've tried to kick off the fence to Superman punch somebody.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that where he just kind of came up with that. And I thought that would be cool. There was a guy who recently, Michael Pereira, he got in trouble because he accidentally kneed someone in the head when they're on the ground, which you're not allowed to do.
Accidentally.
Kind of, because the guy's on the ground. He's standing over him. He turns his back fully and does a backflip onto the guy, just jumps, standing backflip, and then puts his knee right to the guy's face and then TKOs him. And it was listed as a TKO. It was that should be a no contest. That should be a disqualification because you need him in the head. But
he did it with such flair and style, it distracted.
So apparently, if you do something cool enough, it doesn't matter how illegal it is. But he did a backflip onto a guy's face. Yeah, do that in boxing.
I like that. If you do something that is so cool. There's not a lot of sports where you can just be like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like MMA is one of
Rule of cool.
It's like, all right, you know what? You did something that you took a huge chance.
Yeah.
Doing a backflip onto this guy.
That wins.
So
we get to use this meme in our advertisements now.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to win.
Yeah.
I would watch boxing a lot more because in boxing you're not allowed to hit with the back of the fist, the back of the glove.
Like one of these numbers you're saying?
You're not allowed to backhand in boxing.
Oh, okay.
I would watch boxing if they let that in, because then you're getting guys doing spinning attacks. If you could do a full spinning attack in boxing, I would watch so much boxing. A guy just helicopters, little brother like attack mode.
Did you have brothers?
I have one older brother.
Did you fight?
Yes.
We would when my parents would leave, we would agree okay, we are roughhousing. That's what we're gonna do.
We are roughhousing.
Yeah, from right now until we decide to stop, we're roughhousing.
Was it anger, like we're fighting, or was it like, no, this is fun? We're agreeing.
Listen,
that we're being a little rowdy.
Boys are boys. All right, they're gonna be No, but no, we just had energy, and we can't do it when my parents were there.
Sure.
And we would have ground rules. Like it was like you can't actually punch. There's no hitting, swing. It was more like wrestling. You could be creative with stuff, but the goal was to not cause harm. It was it was a rough house.
Me and my brother, we didn't start pal around wrestling until high school.
That's late. That's when you can cause damage if you.
We were, and then we were just I would grab him and throw him on the ground, and we'd roll around. It'd be a fun time.
Who's bigger?
I'm bigger than him.
You're younger?
Yes.
Okay, that's how it goes.
Yeah. As soon as I got bigger than him, we stopped having real fist fights because for years we did not get along, and we would have full fist fights.
Wow.
But no punching to the face or chest. So it would be full fist fights only to the arms and legs. So it's just Charlie horses.
Okay.
And do you know how hard it is to punch an arm while that arm is also trying to punch you at the same time? It was difficult. I'm a sniper with these things now. Okay.
Just flailing like this. I'm just picturing
there's no athleticism.
Small, skinny children flailing their arms. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're doing this because you're protecting this is your sacrificial arm. You're leaving your face fully exposed because you're not allowed to hit me in the face.
Right.
But yeah, we would have real fist fights.
Did you ever hit him in the face?
No.
Wow.
He punched me in the face one time.
How'd it go?
It was kind of a weird. We just kind of talked it out. We were in a car seat and we were both buckled in. He was.
You
driving.
were in car seats.
Not in car seats. We were in car seats.
Okay, this is.
I wasn't
this
an
is
adult
funny,
baby. I'm not full adult baby.
Well, you're supposed to be in a car seat a lot longer than most people put their kids in car seats for. So maybe your parents were.
I'm in the passenger seat in a car seat. He's in the driver's seat
in
a car seat.
The two sentences were, we were in car seats. He was driving. Those were the two sentences. And I was like, wait.
We're both adult babies. No, we had some kind of argument, and he reached over and bopped me in the face. Okay. And then we just kind of talked about it afterwards. But
was he hey, that wasn't cool? That was
he would never apologize to me.
Oh, okay, all right.
We were just like, "Are you done? Are you done?"
Where did you grow? Did you grow up around here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born and raised here.
Where'd the New York accent come from then? Did he have different parents? Or?
No, we're just a couple of cool guys. We're just a couple rough and rowdy boys.
We're roughhouse. We like to pretend we're out on the East Coast.
In high school, we went to private Christian school up until high school.
Okay.
And then we went to charter regular old high school.
Did you say charter?
Charter.
Regular old high school?
Charter's just public school with.
No. Charter schools get a different type of. It's a totally different thing.
It's public school with private funding, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
It's public funding that they get more say in how they are allocated and what they do with those funds.
Yeah.
But it is a public school.
Well, and oftentimes they can let people in or not let people in. It's selective, and then it takes money from the public school system, and usually it disadvantages people who come from lower income households.
Oh, brother, there was a lot of lower income households at this school.
Really? Okay, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
It was a shoddy high school.
Well, charter school means so many different things. In my school, the kids who went to the charter school were the ones who got bullied out of the public school, basically. Then they would go to the charter school. And then I had friends who went to charter school, and I was like, "Oh, did you guys get bullied?" And they're like, "No, we went there because you could take all AP courses always, and then get into really good schools."
Ours, it was you could take college level courses in high school.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to pay for it once you went to college.
Okay.
So that's like why some of us were there. So it was like there was a kid who got his bachelor's degree before he graduated high school.
Bachelor's?
Yeah.
From where?
UCCS.
UCCS, okay.
Yeah. So, but there's also kids who's just like, it is technically public school. Their parents live in this district. You go here now, and a couple rough and rowdy boys.
Interesting.
So it was a real collaboration of
Yeah.
children and backgrounds.
Those charters, they're an interesting thing that exists.
It's a weird.
Well, there's like distinctions. Like there's like magna schools that are public schools, but not charter schools.
Yeah.
But they're like, my wife went to an arts magna school, magnet school, and it was like public school. You had to get in, but it wasn't a charter school.
Right.
Listen.
I don't know how the
audience.
government works.
If anyone listens to this and they can post a breakdown of the difference in the different public school systems, that'd be great.
Find me an infographic off of Google Images.
Because this is what everyone wants to hear about, I'm sure. This is like we were talking about CRMs before this.
Yeah,
just
that's true.
you get 2 Poindexters in a podcast, and
it's talking about public funding.
You were going to talk about tag, and then I probably have to leave.
Okay. Anyways, in high school, people were asking me where my accent was from, and I'm like, I was born and raised here. Then I found out once I started doing comedy, they're like, no, you don't have an accent, you just talk like a weirdo. I just have like an old Carnival Barkery kind of emphasis on my syllables.
Yeah.
Just real Mark Twain book.
Yeah.
Tag, jumping to tag, and then I'll let you get out of here. Professional tag.
And you say tag?
Tag?
I don't know.
Professional tag. I get the TikToks of professional tag fascinating.
We've all seen them.
Have you ever seen? There's MMA. There's mixed martial arts. There's also things that are tangentially MMA related, peripheral to mixed martial arts, and one of those things is like obstacle course MMA. So it's like the tag arena, but it's like a guy. They're fully fist fighting, but it's like a guy can jump on a block and then jump down to kick this guy off. I've seen it where like 2 guys are up here fighting. This guy gets rocked. He falls off, breaks his femur just on the landing because he landed weird and he was half unconscious. It's nuts. I think it's in mainly Russia. Yeah, you got
freaking Russia.
Yeah, they have like obstacle course MMA.
I like the idea that like they get scouted off the playground where it's like, hey, where are the bullies at? Let me see what's going on.
Who's the biggest bully? Who's the quickest at the floor is lava?
Well, people literally like we would do some of that. Like there would be kids where you'd be like playing on the playground and the kid would be like, I'm gonna attack you now.
I'm fully gonna hit you.
I'm gonna use the equipment to my advantage. And I imagine that like the kid that did that to me, if he was in Russia, they'd have been like, get this kid into one of our feeder programs.
He just got booted off the curly Q slide. Get him in the feeder league. You gotta look it up. You gotta look up. I don't. It's not called obstacle course MMA, but it will come up if you look it up.
Yeah, it's Russian too. Right?
It's Russian.
It's gonna have a Russian name.
Gushkishki. I don't know.
Did they send those guys to like fight in the war too? They're like
they're down in Crimea.
They have an elite playground unit.
They exclusively recruit off of those ISIS videos where they're doing the monkey bars.
It's just like guys doing flips into trenches and punching people,
getting shot a bunch, but he did get one. He got one solid punch in.
The Russian propaganda cuts it before they get shot, so it just looks like they're flipping it and punching people.
All right. That's where we have to end it. That's a high note. You got to get out of here. You got shows to go to.
I'm getting paid to work tonight. So.
Are you getting paid?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, plug what you got to plug. No one makes it this far, but plug what you got to plug.
Okay, for those people who aren't here anymore, I am releasing the album version of the special I put out. So I'm just trying to get that #1 on iTunes. So go and...
Seems like they're just handing them out these days.
It's very easy to do, so that's why you should do it. My album is only $6.99 because it's a 40-minute album, very low cost to entry. Pre-sales will start in a week, and that's really all the stuff that's all that I need from the listening audience at this point. Thank you,
Sam. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
Cheers. That's not gonna be good for the audio. All right, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you.